Okay, so we finished off with the E of Gemara yesterday. Now we finish off with the Yishmael and Avram Avinu. Now we get what do we get up to? I think we're up to with the Esav and Yishmael. Um, we do Esav not rebelling? Yeah, that we did. I think we're up to Mashna Shel Adoshin. Yeah, about 15 lines up from the bottom on Tes Zayin base. All right, there's Mashna Shel Adoshin. All right. Yeah, so Mashna Shel Adashim. So why is it? Right, so we just said that Esav went off the derech when Avram Avinu was niftach. Right? So Yaakov then was making lentils, right? Adashim. Nizir Adashim. So Amri ben Marava, Mishmei the Rabbi Bar Mori, Ma Adashazu ein Lopeh, just like an Adasha. Doesn't have a mouth, meaning a lentil is smooth. Doesn't have any cracks in it. Right? So it doesn't have cracks. It's smooth. So af aval ein loy peh. He doesn't have a mouth, meaning an aval's not supposed to talk. Yeah, so he's just supposed to sit quiet. Davar acher. Ma adasha zu migalgelis, just like an adasha is round. Afavelus migalgelis and machazeres abayayim. Avelus is an inevitable part of life, right? So mamela goes around. So and lentils are round. My benai, what's the practical difference between them? To use eggs, right? If you say that it's round, so eggs are not round, so eggs don't cut it. But if it's because it's smooth, so then an egg is smooth. Fine. So Amar Reb Yochanan, Chamish Averis Avar Oisa Russia Oisa Yom. 5 Averis that Russia was over on that day. See, till now we're using his name. Usually when you want to say Oisei Russia, it's because the Gemara doesn't want to say his name. Right? No? Why would here they don't want to use his name? Nobody has an opinion on that? Okay.
What are we asking?
I'm asking, like, why all of a sudden now they've stopped wanting to use Esav's name? Meaning, we just said Esav 5 times. I don't know, 5, whatever, a few times, the word Esav, the name Esav. Unless maybe that was because that was before he did the Averas, and now this is after he did the Averas.
Is it possible that just Rav Yochanan didn't want to say his name? I don't know. That just could be like a stupid answer.
I mean, it was just the din of Rav Yochanan. Okay, maybe. Better than anything that I came up with. Fine. So what are the 5 things he did? So again, he slept with an engaged girl, and he killed somebody. The kafar of the ikar, and he denied the ikar, meaning he became an apikoris. The kafar b'tchias amesim, and he denied tchias amesim. V'shat esa b'chayra, and he basically sold the b'chayra. So those are the 5 things that he did.
Was it in that order? If it was in that order, then you see one is Garim, the other, to which is one is worse than the next, was worse than the next. I just, you first see what he was Nair Marasa. That's already, you can understand the person as the type, but then it got worse and worse and worse. Is in that order, maybe?
I don't know. I don't know if it's in that. I don't know if it's in that order.
But in the same day.
That's what it is. In the same day, yeah, he had a real winner of the day. Right?
I
Like,
think
you know,
I think the answer.
He had a bad day.
yeah.
I think to answer your question is what he's talking about. Before they were saying he didn't rebel. They didn't mention the Averis that he did. Now they're
Right.
mentioning the Averis.
That's what I'm wondering if that's now he did Averis.
Right, so they don't
But-
want to say the Averis.
Yeah, but by the
Before they
time
were
the
just-
Gemara's already, but the time when the Gemara is writing it, he already did the Averis, right?
No, but they don't mind mentioning Esav's name. Esav still, what's it called?
Yeah.
Esav, but when you're talking about that Averis, they don't want, when you're talking about that thing, you don't mention his name. You don't want to be
Correct.
Makat, whatever.
Yeah, maybe. Hey, Rachamim, it could be he also put his left shoe on before his right shoe too. I don't know if the Gemara is going to say that.
Would that be before or after everything else? Like which one was that?
I don't know. Maybe he
I
was
think
having
he
a
put
bad
it
day.
right. He just tied put the right shoe on first, but he tied it and didn't go
That
to the
could
left
be.
first.
Man, maybe.
That was the next day's Averis.
Yeah.
There's a Nagelbasser. He did the left hand before the right hand.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Anyways, okay, weiter.
I don't think there's accounting exists like that.
Aaron,
Or
you
Mr.
gotta-
development.
Kaplan, you gotta mute.
Oh. Sorry, I'm sorry.
all right, it's all good.
Blame it on Diddy. Blame it on Diddy.
Why not? Blame it on anybody, Verts. All right, you look like you're doing okay with you about a pool. I'm just gonna say, Thiago, you know what I mean? I don't feel so bad for Paris. Yeah, he's all right.
I'm not worried about him. But listen, Parrots is on a Friday is already a good sign.
Oh, the sun went back down. So
I hear. Well, we got a Kishmaka song of the Daf today, Parrots, coming up. So
I think 2 dafim ago you missed the song of the daf.
Yeah, I got it this morning. This morning I was thinking about the song of the Daf.
and were you? And you know what? Funny when they woke up camp when I did this Daf 2 days ago. The next morning they blasted this nigga in camp to wake the kids up for Shabbos. So yeah, it was interesting. But we'll get to it. Before that, so Paris, they also had a taich. If you notice on this stuff, Paris' favorite taich of chamor, for whatever reason, Art Scroll taiched it as a 3-letter word. Tamev and Yovan. So I don't know
All
why.
right, Tiago, the shalom bias I had after I showed my kids the hummus with that was wild.
I know that's what I'm saying. So I don't know, for some reason on this stop, check the Art Scroll taich of chamor, and you'll see. But anyways. Okay. Paul Nara Maros Ksiv Hachav Yava Esav Min Asada. Ksiv Hasam keep Asada Matzah Mitzah, I think is the real way to pronounce it. Yeah. Haragas Nefesh. Ksiv Hacha Ayef. Ksiv Hasam Ayna Li Ki Ayofen Ki Ayfen Nafshi Lahargim. So you see for Ayef, so it has to do with killing. The Kafir Be'ikr Ksiv Hacha Lama Zeli. Why is this to me? Uksiv Hasam Zeh Keli V'Anveyu. This is Hashem, and I'm going to make him and beautify him, glorify him. So you see that Zeh has to do with Hashem. Now I'm not sure how you can cover the Iker if there's no Torah yet, right? How you cover the Iker if there's no? I'm saying there was no Torah.
I mean, there's a Shev Mitzvah Noach, and some which involve belief in or Avodah Zarah.
Did they have it? Shev Mitzvah B'nai? They were required to do that at that point in life.
Yeah, it's the Rashi and Avodah Zarah.
Abram didn't make it now that that there was a God.
That's what I'm saying. Is that taka now? So everybody who denied God is considered a kafir be'ikr. I don't know. I'm not sure. Anyways, whatever. Look, we got to get going. So, yeah. So the kafir b'tchias amesim v'yosef hine noiti haylech lamos. He says, I'm going to die. And b'shat as a b'chayre to siv, meaning hanoichi haylech lamos is dying, and that's going to be the end of that. All right. There's no tchias amesim. B'shat as a b'chayre to siv v'yivaz as a b'chayre. Fine. But also Yishmael tshuva the Yamav, how do we know that Minolan? How do you know that Yishmael did tshuva in the days of Avram? Kihod Ravina Rav Chama Barbuzi, Havayasi made the Rav become a Namne Rav. He was sitting in front of Rav, and Rav was sleeping. Well, the Menamne means he was like in and out. He was sort of like a Kabbalah Shabbos, right? Samali Ravina Rav Chama Barbuzi, Vade Dam Risu, Kol Misa Sheyesh Per Gvia. Is it for sure what you say that anytime the word Misa is described as the word Gevia, Zui Misasan Shal Tzadik, and then it's a death of Tzadik. So Amalei in. He said yes. For Hadara Mabel, but by the Dara Mabel it says Gevia. And they were not no big Tzadik. Amalei, Anan Gevia of Asifa coming. We were talking about Gevia together with the word Asifa to be gathered. By Yishmael, the Sibbe Gevia of Asifa, but by Yishmael it says Gevia and Asifa. So Adahachi Isabu Rava, with all this back and forth, Rava woke up. Dardiki, children, Hachi Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Yishmael as tshuva b'chai Aviv, he did tshuva during the days of his father, Shenemer v'yikru Isa Yitzchak v'Yishmael v'anav, and they buried, not Yitzchak and Yishmael, Avram's kids buried him. So it went Yitzchak and then Yishmael. Meaning, so what is it there? Because Yishmael, who was the older brother, let Yitzchak go first. So you see that he must have been Masha Yitzchak. And what says maybe he was going in the order of Chachma. So, and Yitzchak was obviously much smarter. I don't mean smarter, Chachma, Elamiyato. And what says B'yikru Esav Yaakov Banav. Then when it says later on that Esav and Yaakov buried Yitzchak, my time and why didn't it go with Yaakov and Esau instead? It said Esau and Yaakov. Elami da'aktame adbure advere. Since he made it earlier, that Yishmael spoke to Yitzchak with the advere, and this that they spoke, Shmamino tshuva ava b'yom, he did tshuva. Right, so it's very interesting. So he did tshuva. So now I asked another question, which I'm not sure. So why didn't he let Yishmael die? Why didn't Hashem let Yishmael die? Because he said Basher Husham. Right? Does anybody remember that from the Chumash? Right, one of the hardest.
He judged him
understand the Chumash
as if he was now. He judged him as
right,
if he was
but what
now.
do you mean? Right, but even if he was going to be judging him as to be bad,
It was
he's going to do tshuva.
Descendants.
What?
It was his descendants. Rashi says there.
What do you mean? That is this.
That it was Ishmael's descendants.
We're going to be bad.
Yes.
Right, but I'm saying, why didn't he just say like, saying why didn't he just say, well, he ends up being a good guy, so why should we kill him?
Because then you wouldn't learn the lesson of Asher Husham.
No, I hear that, but I'm saying that's one terrace, right? I hear what you're saying.
I don't understand your question.
Forget it. It's too late. Meaning, the point is, it's too late already. But the point, I'm saying, we said that Yishmael was really going to be a bad guy. So why didn't Hashem just let him die? Right? So we mean, well, let him die because he's going to do tshuva. Or maybe they didn't know at that point. Right? Okay, whatever it is. Fine. That's the end of that Gemara. Now, Tanarabana, Shloisha, Hutima, Nakadosh Baruch Hu Ba'olam Hazeh. There's three people that Hakadosh Baruch Hu gave them a common in this world. Me'ein on Tamid Aleph now, Me'ein Olam Haba. Which means basically that they had everything. Elohein, Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Avram T'chsiv Be Bakol, Yitzchak T'chsiv Be Mikol, and Yaakov T'chsiv Be Kol. Right? So, yeah, Avram Avinu had everything, and Yitzchak had everything, and Yaakov had everything. By the way, this is where we get invention when we say in the Haracham, when we say Bakol, Mikol, and Kol. That's referring to the brachas. Remember what they were saying? How does it say in Birchas Hamazon? I forgot what I can't remember now which which harach one it is, but
The
basically we're
Kol-
saying
Kol-
that
Kol- Kein Yivarach Osanu Kulam Yachad. Bracha Shalem V'no- Yeah. That's
before that. It's before that.
Oh, yeah.
No,
I never say that part. No.
Ken Yivar. No, that's Bakol Mikol Kol Ken Yivarach
Kein
Esanu
Yivarach
Kulanu
Osanu
Yachad.
Kulam Yachad V'Bracha Shalem
Right,
V'no-
and Baruch Hashem. So right, so that's what we're referring to. That Yavram, Yitzchak, Yaakov had Bakol, Mikol, and Kol. Right. It's not the reason they put it into the Rachamas wasn't because it sounds good and fits into songs. Bakol, Mikol, and Kol. Right. It's referring to
That's
them.
why they did it. Now they have to find the reason.
It says
Okay.
Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov.
That's why they did it.
Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Bakol, Mikol.
Right, but the Bakol, Mikol, and Kol, how is Yaakov Bakol, Mikol, Kol is going back on each one of them. Correct? Yeah.
Yes.
Anyways. Fine. Shloisha L'Shalapa Yetzahara. Oh, and by the way, Taisa, since it just came with our sugya, Taisa says, what about Eev? Why wasn't Eev with all his tzaras included? Because the Gemara it said that Shetima Kadosh Baruch Hu Me'ein Olam Haba. The Gemara said that two blot ago. So Taisa says Eev only tasted Olam Haba in one facet of it. Avraham Yitzchak and Yaakov had the full package. Okay. Three people the Yetzirah didn't overpower. Right? Eluhain, Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Tichsiv behu bakol mikol kol. Yeshem aftav, and some say even David.
Skip the other three. You skipped the line. You only said. Did you say all six?
And up to six.
Why you said
before that
Shisha.
one. Shloisha Leshalach Yetzirah.
Okay, sorry.
I think that's maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
No, sorry.
Sat in the car from the country, so I'm a little buzzed. Shloisha Leshalach Yetzirah. Eluhen Avram Yitzchak Yaakov. Desibu Bakol Mikol Kol. Yeshem Aftavid. Desibu Libi Cholol Bekirbi. My heart is Cholol literally means empty, but it means died Bekirbi, right? But the Libi is referring to Yetzirah. That's what Rashi says. V'idach, and the other sheet that says not David HaMelech Tzari who the Komitka. David HaMelech had a lot of tzaras, so he's remembering his tzaras. Fine. Torah Rabbanan Shisha leShalach Malach HaMavos. 6 people, the Malach HaMavos didn't get to them. They only get the Malach HaMavos was called what Mesu ben Ashika, as Rashi says. They were kissed. Right, so no pain. Ve'eluhen Avram Yitzchak v'Yaakov Moshe Aaron and Miriam. Avram Yitzchak v'Yaakov Desibuhu Bakol Mikol Kol. Right, and Moshe Aaron and Miriam Desibuhu Al Pi Hashem, from the mouth of Hashem. Right, which is a kiss from Hashem. Right, Miriam like Siba Al Pi Hashem, but Miriam doesn't say that. So Amar Rabbi Miriam Nami ben Ashika Mesa, she also did to Asya shame Sham Sham Moshe. We learn how to exert Shav Sham Sham Moshe. Malay never go Al Pi Hashem. Shekinaya David Leimer. It's a genai to say, I guess, that Hashem kissed Miriam. Right. Now it's interesting because how do we know Avram Yitzchak Yaakov, that because it says Bakol Mikol Kol means therefore they died within the Shika. So Rashi, the way Rashi explains it, it's very simple. It's if Avram Yitzchak Yaakov had Bakol, Mikol, and Kol, that means they had everything, which means that the ultimate way to die is a mitzvah neshika. So if we know that Moshe and Aaron and Miriam had it, then it has to be that Avram Yitzchak Yaakov had it because they had everything, right? They had everything. So Mela, they must have had a mitzvah neshika too. There's no specific pasuk that says that they had mitzvah neshika. It's just the pasuk says Bakol Mikol Kol, right? Meaning they had everything. Meaning, because you could ask, like, how many things are we darshaning out of Bakol, Mikol, and Kol? How many things do you want to darshan here? Right? So it's not. It's all the same thing. It's that they had everything. So if they had everything, so then they must have also had the best death. Okay, Tanur Rabbanan Shiva. So there's one other Rashi. Yeah. I think Taisus is a little out of order. Yeah, but there's a important Taisus. I mean, at least in this kasha, the third Taisus down. There's a shloisha leishalapu yetzahara. 3 people the yetzahara didn't rule over them. Yeah, it says ein lefarish leishala klal. Can't be that there was no yetzahara on Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov at all. Tim can hechi kiblu ole agro. And then how do you get schar? Right. So I mean, that's a fundamental question. Meaning, the question should be a chizik to us, is that if you have no Yetzirah, then you don't get schar. You get schar because you have Yetzirah for things, right? So Taisus, the Omar might have said ragli chasida Yishmael and Taisus. Even shavar adam roiv shnoisa v'loy chata shuva nechayta. Since a person, the majority of his years, he doesn't do a chet, so then he no longer will chet, which is also hard to understand because you see that people do go off the derech later on. Hachanami, Kivan, Shera, Kadosh Baruch Hu, Doichen Atzman Kolkach Lisrachik Min Avera, since Hashem saw how hard they were working to not do Averas, Siyam HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Mikan Ve'elech Shaloi Shalom Yetzirah. Meaning, first they had to show that they were worthy of not having the Yetzirah, and then he could take them, right? Meaning, whatever, take away the Yetzirah from them. Fine. The Tana Rabbanon.
The Gemara says in Sanhedrin that they were mispal to take away the tithe for Avodah Zarah. So Minei Shemayim with Maskin, and they said, okay, let's take away with tithe for let's say Tashmish, these are various, and they weren't Maskin. Because if you took away that tithe, then the existence of the world. So over here, what do you mean? So then there's the Yetzirah, then there is a Yetzirah. So if they didn't take away the Yetzirah, so there's people needed to have the Yetzirah. Otherwise, without Yetzirah, you wouldn't. I don't know. Something's weird over here. Something's weird over here.
Anytime you say something doesn't have a Yetzirah, it is. It's not an easy Gemara, correct?
I'm trying to figure out if I have a Yetzer Tov. Gosh.
Okay. Anyways, fine. We'll leave it at that. There are 7 that the worms never got to them. All right. Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Moshe, Aaron, Miriam, Binyamin, Ben Yaakov. Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Sivu, Bakol, Mikol, Kol. Right, like we said before. They had everything, so they weren't going to have worms on them either. Moshe, Aaron, and Miriam, Tichsiv, Behu al Pi Hashem. Binyamin, Ben Yaakov, Tichsiv, Binyamin, Omar, Yedid Hashem, Yishkoin, Lovetach, Halov. Yeah, parents. Yeah. So, I mean, even though that has to do with the Beis Hamikdash. Right? Meaning, but it's saying that he's going to be Yishkoin Lovetach. Yedid Hashem is really because the Beis Hamikdash was in Binyamin's section. But Yishkoin Hashem Lovetach means he was going to rest with betachan easily, which means no worms. Yeshem af David Tesiv af Basara Yishkoin Lovetach. Says by David, also my Basar is going to rest easily. V'ida hu rachmi hu dekaboy. That's Rachel. David was asking for Rachmanis. I mean, he was asking that he should rest in peace. Fine. 4 died with the fire.
The Yavit says, by the way, that the Gemara, it's not exhaustive list. The 7 that didn't have Rima with Taleh, because we learned that Gemara. And
what does it say?
It says the list is not extensive. It wasn't Lav Dafka 7 because he learned in Bava Matir. Blazer ben Yaakov, right, he was in the attic, and his wife got all afraid because his body was sholem, and she found the worm in his ear. So he says. So he says that these 7 are just from Gemara we know, sample. But there are for sure other tzaddikim and other duras that they were sholem. That there was no Rima Matzliach. I think the going to say, right, when they opened this cover, they saw he was Mama Sholem.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't. They say that of a different gedolim. I don't know if it's true.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, so that's the
I
Ibis
pity
says for
the one
sure
that
the other
looked at him.
tzaddikim that were. So I don't know. That's interesting.
Yeah. So anyway, so what does it mean that they died with the Itchia Shatarban? Arba Mesa Itchia Shanachash. 4 died with the bite of the Nachash. What it means, Rashi says, is that they really didn't deserve to die at all because they never did anything wrong. So if they never did anything wrong, why would they die? So the only reason why they died is because after the Nachash, that's when it became that's when death came to the world. So everybody had to die. Right? Elohim ben Yom ben Yaakov, Amram Avi Moshe, Yishai Avi David, Kilav ben David. Right? Vakulu Gemara, and it's all Gemara, meaning how do you call it? Tradition. The Var ben Yishai Avi David that Mefarish Bekrov. The Yishai ben David, that's Beferish. Yishai Avi David is Beferish in the puzzle. Siv, Ves Amasa, some Avshalom Tachas Yoav Alatzava. Avshalom put Amasa in charge of the army instead of Yoav. Yoav ben from Yoav, right? Amasa ben Ish Ushmoi Yisra Yisraeli. Who he was the son of somebody named Yisra Yisraeli. Asher ba el Abigail bas Nachash achos Tzuya aim Yoav, and he was with Abigail, who was Nachash's daughter, who was the sister of Tzuya, who was the mother of Yoav. So now it says she was Bas Nachash. V'chi Bas Nachashi, or she Bas Nachash, v'lei Bas Yishai. She was Bas Yishai. D'chsiv Ach Yisem Tzuya v'Abigail. The daughters are Tzuya and Abigail, which we know Tzuya was the daughter of Yishai, so Abigail must also be. So then, why are they calling Bas Nachash? Ela Bas Misha Meis B'Yishal Nachash. She's the daughter of somebody who only died because of the snake. Fine.
Interesting. The Gemara calls 2 of them I'll shame their fathers, and some I'll shame their sons. Right, it doesn't say Amram the son of his father. It says Amram the father of Moshe.
So what are you saying?
So usually it says like Yishai ben David. It says you would say, I'm sorry, it says Yishai Avi David. It should have said Yishai ben who his father was. But it calls him I'll shame his son. Not I'll shame. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Interesting. The Gemara does that for Amram and Yishai.
That is talking interesting.
And it says Binyamin. It says Binyamin ben Yaakov, right? It doesn't say Binyamin Avi his kids.
Right. That's a good. Yeah, interesting.
Should somebody let Ben know the disturbed in between the Hadron, or you know what I mean?
L'chaim, sorry.
Well, Hadron l'chashuv, Pat. So you can make you l'chaim. Don't worry, Ben. They get upset
we
when you push off.
There's certain rules.
We had to get every comment in before the Hadron, otherwise you can't make the Hadron.
No, we're giving you more time to get dressed. We were giving you more time to get dressed, parrots.
And will you have your l'chaim down there, parents?
Yeah, of course. L'chaim.
L'chaim. Where's Jesse with his l'chaim?
And this is a dedicated l'chaim man, okay? Don't doubt him. I'm
right here having my l'chaim. I'm just getting dressed.
Oh, he's getting dressed. There you go. Okay. Anyways. Okay, so Hadron Loch, so now that's it. That's the end of Agadata. So now we have an interesting parak. It's a lot of neighbor relations here. So basically, what we're gonna the next few blot, what we're gonna handle is the machlokes Chacham and Reb Yosi, and we had it in Bava Metzia a little bit, which is who's responsible to make. Am I responsible to make sure my things don't damage somebody else? Or is that person responsible to make sure he doesn't get damaged by me? Right? Meaning, and again, this is not exactly the right case, but if somebody has a dog, is it his responsibility to make sure his dog doesn't bite? Or is it your responsibility to make sure you don't get bit by the dog? Meaning, don't agitate the dog. So I think with that one, it's pretty safe to say that it's on the owner of the dog. But meaning, am I mechuyev to make sure that if I put up a house, it's not going to cause any damage to my neighbor? Or is that not my issue? My neighbor has to defend himself from me, from my potential damaging of his things. So that's what we're going to see here.
The pool?
It gets into digging holes in your property. Can you dig a hole right up to your property line? And then it's going to weaken all the dirt and all the grass by your neighbor. And then he's not going to be able to, he'll sink or whatever it is. Right? Or can you take a tree and grow it right next to your neighbor? And then all the roots are going to suck all the nutrients out of the ground and totally ruin your neighbor's garden. Whose achrayus is that? Right? Anyways, so that's basically a hakdama to the parak. So yachbar adam bar samuk lebar shel chaveres. A person should not dig a bar next to his friend's bar. V'loy shiach, v'loy ma'arav, v'loy amasamayim, v'loy nevreches kaivsin, and then he can't shiach, right? Bar shiach and ma'arav go together. Shiach is
so the first case, whoever comes first gets it.
No, we're going to see it's going to be a big machlokes in the Gemara tomorrow's daf. Tomorrow's daf. Okay. That's all about who do you have to preempt. Meaning, does this all, if he already has a bar, so now you can't dig a bar? Or is it, no, you can't dig a bar because it might get his bar, right? Right,
but the way it said it in this mission, it's preempting. Whoever's there first gets it. That's what I was asking.
No, so we're going to have to see in the Gemara. We're going to have to see. So anyways, so Shiach and Mara are just basically different types of holes. Amasamayim is you can't make a well or whatever it is.
Irrigation ditch.
And you can't make a hole. Yeah, thank you. You're good. And you can't make a nevreches means a bricha to swim for laundry. I mean basically a laundry hole. You have to make it at least 3 tvachim away from your neighbor's wall, because otherwise you can weaken the wall. Visad visid, and also you got to put. If you dig the hole, you have to strengthen it with mud or cement or lime, however you want to touch it. Now the Gemara is going to declare whether you need to do both or one or the other, right? Because from the way it's mashma from here is you have to do both, because there's no vi or oy or anything. I mean, there's no oy. It says vi. The question is sometimes vi means oy and sometimes vi means and. As a gefes, as a zevel, as a melech, as a sid, as a slime. You have to distance. Gefes is the junk from the olives, and zevel is manure, melech is salt, sid is lime, slime is rocks. You have to keep away from from more than 3 tvachim. Then this one says oy sod besid, or you can fix his wall, and then you're not going to have a problem. You have to distance the zrayim seeds, and machrish is a plow, and meraglayim minakoisel shlosh tvachim. So if you're going to go urinate in your yard, you got to make sure you do it 3 tvachim away from the wall, right? And plowing, you can't plow within 3 tvachim of the wall, and same thing, don't plant within 3 tvachim of the wall. So the way they had a grinder or a mill, you had the top rock, which was bigger than the bottom rock. So you have to distance the rechaim 3 tvachim from the bottom rock and 4 from the top rock. Right? There's a tanur, and if you're going to make an oven outside, like a pizza oven, like the other has pizza ovens now, so shloishim and akilya, you have to have it 3 from the bottom part of the oven, shein arum and asafa, which is going to be 4 tvachim from the top. Right? No, I'm sorry, I said the top was bigger. The top is smaller. That's why it ends up being 4 tvachim away. Both of these things. Right? The top is smaller, and the bottom is bigger. Okay, so that's basically 3 tvachim is the name of the game over here, right? 3 tvachim is the name of the game, or that you got to keep away so that you don't damage your neighbor. Okay, so the Gemara on to the base. The pasach b'bar Messiah, because if you look back, let's just go back in the Gemara into the Mishnah. It says a person shouldn't dig a bar close to his bar, right? Unless you distance it from the kaisel. What are we talking about here? Are we talking about from the are we talking about a bar or are we talking about a kaisel? Right? It says distance it from the friend's bar, and then it says kaisel. So what's going on? So one says puzzle of sign b'kaisel. You know what it means is from the wall of his bar. Meaning, you have to make sure that if you're putting a wall, you have to make it 3 tvachim away from the bar, because the bar, those 3 tvachim is considered the wall of the bar. Then what I asked, so listen, why don't you say unless you keep it 3 tvachim away from your friend's bar? What answer? The kaisel bar shloisha tvachim. The wall of a bar is 3 tvachim, right? Meaning 3 tvachim thick is how much land you're giving to somebody if you're selling him a bar. Nafkamina l'mekach. It's the difference is for business, because the guy tells his friend the bar and the walls I'm selling to you. The wall has to be 3 tvachim wide, meaning that's the business, that's the standard for having a bar on the ground. Somebody wants to go put a bar next to the meitzar is the boundary, right? So now, again, you're coming and you want to make a pit on the, on your boundary to your neighbor. Now, your neighbor does not have a bar yet. This is what we're talking about, Naftali. Right? So basically, your neighbor, look into his yard, he's got nothing going on in his yard. He never goes out into his yard. So you figure, why can't I dig a bar within 3 tefachim of his property line? Who cares? So Abaya Masaymech, Abaya says, Abaya says you could do it, and Rava says you can't do it. Why can't you do it? Because maybe he's going to want to dig a bar there. So then the question is, who comes first? We'll see. Anyway, so Abaya says you can't do it, Rava says you could do it. So Basada, so if it's a field that's meant for virus, which Rashi says is a very irrigated field that constantly, it's not an irrigated field. I mean, it means it's a field that requires a lot of irrigation. Then everybody's going to hold that we're not samech on it. Kipligi, what's a machlokes? Meaning ein samech, meaning that you're not allowed to dig, because you can assume that since they're going to need to irrigate this field, they're going to eventually dig virus. Kipligi besada she'ena sila virus. We're talking about the machlokes is it's a regular field that's not going to be meant to make virus. It's not meant for virus. So why can't you? Why you have to go? You have to stop yourself from building a bar just because your neighbor may eventually build a bar. And Rav Amar just like you changed your mind and you dug, even though we normally don't have, it's not the regular land that normally has a bar. I'm also going to change my mind, and I'm going to dig a bar.
Does it make sense that you should get permission from your neighbor before you do something? Maybe under any circumstance, you have to get permission from your neighbor.
Right. So that is exactly the question. Yeah. But anyways, yeah, this is all part of the neighbor relations that we have to try and figure out over here. Like, what's the proper thing to do? Right? And of course, it's a machlokes. It's going to be a back and forth. Yeah, so that's one side. Now we have the other side. Now, at any time we have two tzadim in a Gemara, it gets a little confusing. Some say it's the other way around. If it's a field that's not meant to have virus, then everybody holds you can dig a bar. Why should you think that your neighbor is going to go dig a bar? I think this is the way we pass it. The machlokes is if your neighbor's field is a type of field that's going to inevitably need bar. Abaya says that you can still do it. And afilu Rabbanan the Amri. This is the Rabbanan who we're talking about, who holds marchikin is the ilam in a bar es b'chamesh amma, that you have to distance your tree from a bar 25 amas, because otherwise the roots are going to go kill your friend's bar, which means that the Chachamim are putting the onus of not damaging on the damager, meaning you have to make sure that your trees don't damage. So Hassan, who the Kanata east of the bar, but that's when he planted the tree, the bar was already there. Okay, so if the bar is already there, don't go planting trees. Which I think covers what you're saying. Maybe it's the Anacles, maybe the Anacles having a hashban, Hashem, right? If they're here when you're digging, right, there's no bar. So why shouldn't you be able to dig your own bar? You got to start worrying that maybe in 10 years from now your neighbor's going to dig a bar. That's a biased way. For Rava, says the opposite. Rava ain't a summit. He says he cannot dig a bar. But feel Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi is the one that says that the person has to be careful that he doesn't get damaged. That he digs in his property, and he digs in his property, meaning each one could dig in their own, and they don't have to worry about damaging the other. Hani really hustling to be in the kanata at the time that he planted less than the shrush of the maski labar. There were no roots to damage. Every mara is a spade or a shovel. Every shovelful that you hit, marpes lalara, you're making my land weak. Meaning every time you dig, you're causing my land to be weak. So you're causing me damage. Right? The question is this a grama? Is it direct damage, indirect damage? Okay, we'll have to see. Fine. So anyway, that's the machlokes, Abai and Rava, and we have two girsais where they're arguing on where the field can be expected to make a bar or not. So the Gemara asks, Tanan layachbar adam bar, a person shouldn't dig a bar. Samach lebar shechaveri, next to his friend's bar. Time a bar. The reason why we're saying that it's also because there's already a bar, halek a bar. But if there's no bar, saimech, then you are allowed to make a bar close to it. So Mishnah Malach Lishna Da'amit, that's good according to the shita that says Besada Sheina Sila, that it's a sada that's not meant to have virus divrei kol saimechs, and within that case, if we go with the shita that says, and when it's a field that it should be expected to have a bar, everybody holds a saimech must nisa besada sheina sila. So the Mishnah is talking about a field that's not meant to have virus, so that's where you could dig. But according to the Mishnah, the lashon that says besada sheina sila virus pligi, that the whole machlokes is in a field that's not meant to have virus. So according to the Baya, it's good because he allows it. So you fit into the Mishnah. But according to Rava, who says you're not allowed to dig, well, how's he going to understand this Mishnah? Kasha, he has a kasha in the Mishnah, right? Because the Mishnah says that you are allowed to. This whole Gemara for the next blot, the Gemara just bombs Rava with kasha after kasha. Right, so Rava says, didn't we already say that it means from the wall of the bar? We're not talking about a wall. We're talking about the wall of the bar. Right? Meaning, so when the Mishnah says that you're allowed to dig, right? So that's talking about where the first guy is allowed to dig a bar, but he has to leave 3 tvachim. Yeah. Okay.
And when we say the wall of the pit as opposed to the center of it,
what are you saying?
The wall of the pit is the outside of it, right? As opposed to the inside, the center of the pit?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, the out is, yeah.
We said at the beginning of the Gemara. We said at the beginning of the Gemara that you have to be marchik 3, not from the edge of the wall. It's from the space that he has, which is 3 amas. So it's 6 amas total, right? 3 amas from his 3 amas. I'm sorry, tvachim. But I'm saying it's 3 amas. You have to be marchik, not from the edge of the bar, but from the allotted space that he has of his wall, which is 3 tefachim. Right, the first lines of the Gemara.
You on the top of the Gemara. Yeah.
Right.
Meaning, correct. Right, from the walls of his body. Yeah, 100%.
Right, and his walls are 3 tefachim. So you're marchik 3 tefachim from his 3 tefachim. Right.
Yeah. Okay, very good. Tika Damri, Itmar Allah, Amar Abai,
I'm sorry. It sounds like the fellow who does the bore first, he made his bore right up to the edge of the property line, the outside of the walls, right up to the property line. So the fellow next door, who wants to put up a fence or whatever, he has to be 3 tefachim into his own property, which means away from the wall of that bore. Otherwise, like the bore, he built the bore in the middle of his property. We have to be talking that the bore is right up to the edge. So the first guy, when he built his bore, he built it right up to the edge of the property line. The second guy, now he has to be marchik from what was his property line, which is the edge of the bore, which is not his. He has to be marchik 3 tefachim just to be away from the other guy's bore.
Right, okay.
Even though he stuck his bore right up next to the property line, like Brooklyn, right, right up to the property line, I guess it doesn't apply in Chutzlars,
Yeah.
I thought Rahman was going in a different direction with that. Why are we asking from the second guy, the Loyachter guy? The first guy was allowed to do it.
The first guy, he got in there first. He got his wall in there first.
That's also part of it.
How did he do that? Yeah, how did he do that? L'chatchila, I don't know.
Right.
Unless they drew, let's say I have a property and I split the property and I split the property in half. I've subdivided, right? So I make one property line right up next to the edge of my bore, and I sell it from that, and I sell it to Yenim for that. So now he's stuck with a bore right up. He's stuck with my bore right up next to his property line.
Right.
That's not how it could be. Otherwise,
I think the Gemara is going to discuss that. Where you did it beheter, like that exact case. You own the whole thing and then you split it. Yeah.
Okay, so let's see a little bit because it's a shtickle late. So Ikadami, Itmar Allah, Amar Abai Vitam Rav Yehuda, my kaisel bar Shenidim. We're talking about the kaisel from his bar. Bishlam lahach lishna dama besade hasuya lebayres. We're talking about a field that's meant for bayres. Divrei hakol and So everybody holds. You don't make it close. Masnisin besade hasuya lebayres. Then the Mishnah is talking about where the field is meant to have bayres. Elahach lishna damre besade hasuya lebayres. Pligi that the whole machlokes. There's a field that's meant for bayres. Bishlam l'Rabba nichas, and the Rabba makes sense. You're not allowed to dig. El labaya kasha. So Abaya Tzakash is the opposite Gemara as before. The Mishnah is talking about where you're coming to. They're digging at the exact same time, right? So if they're coming there, right? Because we didn't entertain that thought. We also which neighbor is going first. What happens if they decide they're doing it at the same time, right? So then. Abaya says that they still have to make it far away from each other, right? Meaning Abaya, who normally would say you don't have to worry about it, in this situation he would say that you do have to worry about it. Yeah. Okay, we'll stop over there. Say Tillim.
Where are we stopping?
What?
Where are we stopping?
5 lines up from the bottom. 5? Tashima. One.
Yudzayin base, right?
Yudzayin of a base, 7 lines up from the bottom. Tashima. Yeah. Ahmed Bays on tomorrow's daf is very short. Okay, so let's say the Tillim Yud Gimel. I would say it was a double. Adona netishkecheni netzach. Adona tastis benechem meni. Adona Ashus Eitzes Benash Yogim Very Yom Adona Yom Oive Eloi. Abid Anina Adonai Eloi Ira Aina Fen Ishan Amavas. Fen Yomer Oive Yechal to Tzari Yagiu Kiyamait Vani Bechazim Chovatachli. Yagel Yidim Shvasecha Shiva Ladinoi. Yigamal Eloi. חלק בייס ישראל למצום בשר ושוב יום דמי ראש המקים ירחם עליהם יתן מצר לרווחה מיפילה לאוירו ומשיבה לגולה שטוב הגלוב בזמן קריב ונאמר אמן. All right, the Olim should have themselves fine Shabbos.
Yaakov, you're talking about doing things
Thank you.
next to the wall. Next to walls, the was telling me was Rodkin. Rod was telling me the Alexander. Oh, did I lose everybody?
No, go ahead.
Yeah, by the Alexander Hasidim, they had the huge gatherings, so they didn't have like today. We have porta-johns and stuff. So the people were being mashed him on the wall of the basement and outside the base bedroom. So they put up a sign, "Asa lahashtin ala kir." So
Where was this?
By Alexander Hasidim. They put up a sign, "Asa lahashtin ala kir." So somebody else wrote under.